Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hypecast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
Hey everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to another episode of Hypecast, the show where we get hyped about shit. So hyped. I'm your co-host, Tom Ryman.
I'm your other co-host, David Bell. Who do we got here?
I'm Abe Epperson.
This is your first time on Hypecast, Abe?
First time on Hypecast.
Welcome.
Yeah. The last thing that I was on, well, I mean, I do D&D with you guys.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
As arms make elbows. But I also, I think,
Last Bad Movie, right?
Last Bad Movie where I defended Battleship.
You
Yes.
sure did. You sure did.
I have
You
more
really
to say
did.
about that.
We should do a sequel.
I brought notes
Yeah.
about Battleship. No, but I'm sure one of these films that we got some trailers that we're going to start
I
talking
mean,
about.
this is our Comic-Con episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's...
This is a.
I'm
this
so
is a-
lucky.
yeah,
I have so
this
many
is-
trailers to talk about.
This is us coming into all these trailers way later than everybody else, I believe.
Yeah, sure. But
All
you
the
guys,
hot
you
takes
guys,
have been hot.
you guys
Yeah.
are waiting for our hot takes, right?
Mhm.
So it's
Exactly.
fine.
Our steamy hot
Our
takes.
steamy hot takes. Boiling hot.
Sweaty,
Sweaty hot.
sloppy.
Just really
Steamy
just
hot
soupy
Yeah.
takes.
Old
Really
hot
muggy.
takes.
Just oppressively
Old.
humid hot
Yeah.
takes.
Somehow still viscous.
Yeah, a couple hairs in there.
Our stagnant takes.
So hope you're enjoying this during lunch, everybody.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Let's
What's the first
begin
trailer?
with Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Aquaman. Is
Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Yeah.
The pronunciation.
Aquaman. Yeah.
This is the director of the Insidiouses.
It's the first Saw.
James Wan.
James Wan.
Yeah.
James Wan.
I think it looks good. It looks fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about this trailer.
It looks pretty dope.
There were just a few like shots in it that made me go, "Ooh, that looks." I don't know. Who gives a shit? It's Aquaman.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
Aquaman.
I don't know. What do you think? Yeah.
So here's a big problem. I'm not a huge fan of superhero movies.
Mhm.
So I do agree with you guys that it is like, I was actually excited more than I've ever been about a DC film,
Yeah.
because DC is just hot garbage to me, and Marvel is kind of hot garbage to me. So it's
DC
like,
has nothing to lose.
they
at
have
this
nothing
point.
to lose, so that's why I think that they're taking a big swing. I'm also not a big comic book guy, so I'm like the least qualified person to be talking about this. But I was like, oh, okay, they're trying something.
Yeah.
And I like James Momoa. Is that his name?
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
James Wan, Jason Momoa.
I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever seen a Lord of the Rings style giant battle scene that was underwater.
Underwater.
With sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, as long as they don't fuck that up, I'm fine with this movie.
Yeah, I did like that one scene when he was getting bullied at the aquarium, which is totally where you bully a kid.
That's Harry Potter.
Where it's
That's Harry
like-
Potter.
Yeah,
When the-
yeah,
when the
yeah.
snake
It's,
comes
it's,
in, yeah.
it's the boy who sharks talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing to me that the shark just like goes ham against that
Yeah.
window.
Right.
It's pretty
Just
sweet.
immediately like, I gotta fuck that kid up, that little shitty kid.
It didn't occur to me that Aquaman like started. It's a Harry Potter story. Like he started as like just a regular kid.
Mhm.
How do you go from like a regular kid who's like, you know, wearing like clothes from J.C. Penney or whatever, and like getting bullied at the aquarium to like God of Atlantis?
Yeah, Arthur, Prince of
Yeah,
the Seas.
that seems like a weird adjustment. Like, does everybody you know like? I get how that justifies like him wanting to protect people on Earth, but like Superman still like, you know, he still goes to Kansas and like,
Right.
like he still has his roots.
Well, Aquaman has his roots.
Does he? So we're just not seeing
his
it?
dad's
Does he
a
have...
human being.
Yeah, he's a lighthouse operator.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that makes it very convenient for him that he can mostly
his mother's
hang
a
out.
queen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's the
okay.
first words
I
of
mean,
the
that makes
trailer.
sense. I wouldn't hang out at. Okay. It's been a. I watched this trailer like when it first came out.
See, it's a classic. Like we
So
are in
like
love
he's not
with
hanging
Wilkinson.
out at the lighthouse. That's all.
No. I don't. Something. Like I think he got Bruce Wayne. I'm pretty sure, right, or something. I don't know what
I'm
the
not
mythos
sure.
is. But
Wait.
like his parents don't seem to be in the picture if he's just like kicking it on Metropolitan New York aquariums or whatever he came from. I don't even know. I just get the feeling that he's like just like a normal rapscallion kid
So he's like
having
an
a
orphan?
normal like life.
I don't think he's an orphan.
I don't think so.
the only Aquaman comics I've read were the New 52 ones with who were written by Jeff Johns, and it's been a minute since I read them, so I don't remember. Like,
is
the
it just like his
particulars
poor
of Aquaman.
father at his shitty lighthouse, and Aquaman shows up every now and then? Like, oh, it's amazing down there. There's like a palace, and there's
No,
all
he's
this
like
food
angry
and
about
stuff.
it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The father. Oh wait, Aquaman's angry
Aquaman's like
about it?
mad about it. He doesn't want to be like. He doesn't want to fuck around with Atlantis.
Yeah. He's like, Dad, I don't want to go to Atlantis.
I don't want to go to Atlantis.
I'm definitely
There's
dipping in.
fishes and octopi.
And the shark,
And
who's
the
my friend now.
sharks.
So I'm definitely dipping into the mythos of like the special boy when I say that like,
Yeah.
he's clearly an orphan of some kind or something happened. He got Batman because like if you look at Spider-Man, if you look at all of them, Harry Potter, they're all like a normal kid, but he's got this troubled past that he has to figure out things about.
Right.
And mom doesn't seem to be in the picture anymore. It's like me and Mike were actually talking about this. Have you guys seen that film Stardust?
No.
Because
I'm aware of it, but I haven't seen it.
as you'd expect, it's like a normal thing. It's actually not a bad movie in terms of like fantasy genre, but like it's the same when you talk about like rags to riches, or he's just a little lighthouse boy and then he becomes king of Atlantis. Stardust is hilarious because he's like literally like a guy who like cleans poop, you know, like at a farm, and he eventually by the end of the film becomes king of the universe.
That's Jupiter Ascending, right? In the beginning of it, you have Mila Kunis cleaning a toilet, and then she's like, "I'm the queen of space."
We love our special boys and gals.
Yeah, this goes into why, and you were talking about not being particularly fond of superhero movies. This is why there's always feels like a ceiling for me, because I'm thinking about it and it's like, how do you make a superhero? It's like you take a kid, remove his parents, put a big chip on their shoulder about it, and that's like
because parents are also boundaries.
Yeah,
so it's
but
like, how do you want
that
this
where,
kid
like,
to be able to do everything? It's like, we'll take his parents away.
Yeah,
or
they
her
never.
parents away.
There's very rarely a superhero movie that thinks of a creative origin beyond that. It feels like
Yeah, it's always troubled youth.
It's often like just parental issues. Like I remember the moment in Civil War where Tony Stark just says like, "You killed my mom," and it was just like, oh, this is so basic. Like,
Yeah.
it's the Martha thing. It's like they couldn't.
You're like 50, dude.
Yeah, you're like, look at 50, don't you?
Right,
Can't we have anything else?
Yeah, and it could have been better, but like in defense of that character's reaction in that scene in Civil War, he had just watched a video of the man standing 2 feet away from him, strangling his mother to death.
It's not that it's unjustified in the scene.
That would get a reaction out of you.
It's not that it's unjustified in the scene. It's just more like, we've talked about this before. Like, Punisher, I think, is the only superhero. It's like, this is such a weird thing to say. Is like, could you at least kill these people's kids? Like, Tony Stark is so old. Like there's never anything beyond like, you killed my parents. My parents are dead. I'm so obsessed with my parents. There's never any like, you killed my sister, or like if you're gonna if you're gonna even just lazily kill off a family member, why is it always the parents?
I will say that Tony Stark didn't become a superhero because his parents are dead.
That's true.
And like Thor, I mean, they have parental issues in Thor, but he's just Thor.
It just it's that thing of
there are
like,
exceptions, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's that thing of like, you're writing a superhero, he's a living god, so it's like, how do we ground them? And it's always the same thing they do every time, which is like, well, let's do family stuff. And I'd love to see some other way to ground. Not always, but
you
it's
put
just
him
like
you put him in a
80%
you
of the
put
time.
you put the character in a you give the character like grounded connections, like in Thor.
Yes.
Like he starts caring about all the people he meets. So and then it's also kind of it's like the alien or like the fish out of water thing.
Yeah.
Which we'll probably see some of in Aquaman. Pun definitely goddamn intended.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to use this moment, unless we have more to talk about Aquaman, to segue into the next superhero, which I didn't know anything about, but it's the most like original superhero idea I've seen in a while.
Real quick, and I think it ties into that. And this is, it seems so minor, but like it's stuck out. Like my brother actually pointed it out to me. But the Aquaman trailer ends, with the titles. It's on a white background.
Sure.
Which is
nice.
like, no, it's almost always like title on a black background, and it just seems. I don't know. It just stuck out to me like, oh, like they're really trying to be like, look, we're trying, like,
we'll throw everything at you guys.
We don't what do you want?
Yeah.
But you guys want like fun and like light? Here you go.
But that's the same kind of desperate thinking that has made DC go. Like, they're like, what the fuck do these people want? You really like the Batmans? We gotta really hire better directors. It's like what I think. But like the reality is that the brain trust that runs DC Universe, because didn't they have the failed the Monsters one? That's probably failed.
That's Universal.
That's Universal. Okay.
Yeah, that's the Dark Universe.
That was one of the most that
There's
Mummy
just
movie
so many people trying to cash in on the MCU.
That was the most embarrassing shot call ever.
Yeah,
it's.
Nah, man.
It's the same with, and we were talking about this on a previous podcast, or I was ranting about it, is the gritty reboots of like, I've been wondering why we were allowed to do that in the first place. I think it's the same as the cinematic universe, where it's like, it just doesn't work for everything.
You also need
they really want it to work for everything.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't work for everything. And I think what you were saying about the DC brain trust, one of the big problems there, which we're starting to get away from with like Wonder Woman and hopefully with Aquaman and then with this next movie we're about to talk about. But like all of them were Zack Snyder and David Goyer.
Yeah.
It's like you got the same
Mostly
two guys.
I blame David Goyer.
Writing and directing everything you're putting out. It's like you need more voices in the room. Yeah. Like you need more, and so they get a different.
It was weird that they, for the longest time, they were sitting there like, "What are we doing wrong?
What are we doing wrong?"
Anyway, here's the newest Goyer script. Give it to Zach.
And then just like in the room, someone's like, "Guys, I got it." On credits, white background.
Yeah, exactly. It is funny.
That's the only other thing I want to say about Aquaman is that, which is kind of, I'll keep trying to come back to this every time we talk about all these Comic-Con trailers, which are like, the big blockbusters and like the $20 million features that we got going on coming in soon at the beginning of 2019, I guess, for most of them.
A lot of them, yeah. There's a reason why we keep trying to do gritty reboots, and this is not going to be just a rant about the usual thing where we are like, reboots, am I right? No, that's not what I want to talk about.
But you are right.
We're all right. We are all
well, you asked, am I right?
Yes. I am right. But that's not, like, that's just like low-hanging fruit. The thing that no one seems to be talking about is that we're not casting leads that make sense for the roles with charisma, which is why we liked people like Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones and Han Solo. Mm-hmm. Like, I was listening to your guys' Hypecast about Solo the other day, and it was like, yeah, you guys are right about everything you're saying, but it's not that the film failed. It's that, like, it is that the film fails, but it's because we have a different worldview about how we choose like heroes. Like in this world where we have too many superheroes now, like all of our big budgets are that.
Yeah.
No one is that charismatic. It's what makes people like, as I'm looking at a Deadpool cutout right now, like it makes Deadpool work over other things because it's emphatically one thing that you can stand behind and go, this guy's really good at that. Bruce Willis was a really good Die Hard.
Yeah.
Right. It's that person, that role. And that's, I think I mentioned that when we talked about Solo, where it was like, oh, it might have been the We Just Watched, which I think you did.
Yeah. I did that one for you.
Where it was like, it's like, well, they're banking on the character, and it's like, no, the character and Harrison Ford are kind of inseparable,
right?
Because it's like you have to spend the whole movie where this guy's like, I'm Han Solo, and we're like, no, you're not.
And so we're putting the cart before the horse in a lot of ways, because we're like, we want to make Aquaman, we want to make Shazam, we want to make all these different things. Who's gonna be our guy? the reality should be the opposite of like,
right.
Who's the guy? Who's the person?
Right.
Who is so emphatically amazing at being a like leading man or woman,
right?
That we need to like stand behind them. It's like what made Tomb Raider work, right?
I think, it's we're getting it, and people have been talking about this for a while, where it's like we don't really have movie stars anymore, which is, I mean, it's not literally true, but like people like, you know, a Harrison Ford or a Tom Cruise or a Will Smith, people who can sell a movie around the world just based on their name, and people develop projects for them instead of developing the project, like you're saying, the cart before the horse, where it's like, we got to make this property. Who's going to fit in this property? And I think I think it's the same reason why the Ghostbusters reboot didn't do well, because it was like, well, no, the reason that movie was successful is because it was those people in this situation, not the property itself. Like, nobody cares about the Ghostbusters universe.
You fell in love, like, so that's why I think Aquaman won't work, because you're gonna everyone in the movie is gonna be screaming at you, fall in love with Aquaman, when the reality is what audiences want to do is fall in love with Jason Momoa.
I mean, so far him in the Justice League,
we won't.
All his lines was just "my man" and like "oh yeah," and it was just like, I
liked him.
I didn't mind him, but
I
don't know if he can.
And very
sustain.
handsome.
I don't know. This was
very handsome man.
This was something Marvel's been getting away with, though, because like I don't know what Iron Man was like or what Star-Lord was like in the comics, but okay, yeah. So it seems like they sort of did what you're talking about for those, where they were let's actually just get a really charismatic guy.
I think Robert Downey Jr.'s performance as Iron Man shaped the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Everything is trying to recapture that.
Yeah.
And they succeed. Sometimes
they
succeed
succeed
really
a lot
well.
of the time. Like
obviously Chris Pratt is Star-Lord, Tom Holland is Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think they have some actors there which will be regarded by the next generations almost in an Indiana Jones type way. Like, I think Star-Lord is kind of like modern Indiana Jones.
Right.
In this bigger
They kind of are, it's in space, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not the exact same thing. Like,
but it's similar.
We have a little of that, but you're right that it's not. They don't do it enough where, like, they think we care about Aquaman, where it's more that we need to care about who's playing Aquaman.
Yeah,
and
there's a reason why Dwayne Johnson is the #1 person. Every single one of the films he makes, he's the same guy.
Yeah.
Just like Harrison Ford is.
Yeah.
But
and a lot of The Rock's movies are mediocre, but they do well because we love The Rock.
But like, I remember we were talking about like even Rampage, which is not like a great film. You're like, I had a lot of fun though.
Yeah.
You know, Jumanji kicked my ass. That shit was great. Yeah. And it was just like, it's because they let the people who are good at what they did do the thing
do the things that they're good at.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. Storytelling is that we want to capture something that is fun and nice about what's unique about the story. It isn't, Luke, I am your father. It's the fact that we fell in love with Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, and now this is blowing my mind.
Yeah,
because I love these guys, and you can't separate the character and the actor. Now we're just like, what's the next thing that this guy's gonna do? What's the next thing that this guy's gonna do? Oh yeah, that's a good fit. Well, that's so removed and passionless that like it really takes the wind out of the sails of storytelling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point.
That
I completely agree with.
All right, cool. I did it.
I hope we end up liking Aquaman.
Yeah. I hope we do.
I mean,
that's the best thing that could happen. Because this is where it starts.
I've come to a place. The reason I like Justice League was because DC broke me. Like Man of Steel happened, I was just like, what the fuck? Like that was, it was a very like, okay, like I liked Superman Returns. I liked the old Supermans. So it was just like, okay, this is not something I like. And then Batman versus Superman was like a mess. And so once Justice League came along, I was just like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm seeing this movie. Yeah. I stopped paying for DC movies. Like, I stopped going to them in theaters, and I would just, like, I didn't even rent it. I watched it for free on HBO, and then it's just like, I had a lot of fun for a movie I watched for free. And so I guess that's my feelings on Aquaman is like, fuck it. I don't care. Like, if there's a shark war, I'll be fine. Like,
but then you should go and watch the Meg.
Yeah, no.
Oh, we're gonna fucking watch the Meg, bro.
I wouldn't watch Aquaman if we didn't have a podcast where we watch movies. Like, I probably would skip it and then wait till it's free and watch it then.
I would. I like Aquaman.
Yeah.
You should think
I'm just saying, like, I've made peace with the it's not for me, and I'm sort of like, all right.
You should think about your life, man. You should only do things you want to do, man.
That's right, man. So segue.
Oh yeah, what's the next one?
Shazam.
Oh, Shazam, yeah.
Which the superhero who's a kid. Like, I like that.
That's great.
I just could not. I was laughing the whole time and not in a good way.
Not a good way.
Like,
I mean,
what the fuck?
This feels very Spielbergian to me.
I think that's the best case scenario. And I don't think I got that from the trailer, but maybe you know more about Shazam than I do, so they're gonna do it.
I'll say
in
this.
an interesting way, but it just seemed trite and like Kick-Ass 2, or I mean, there is a Kick-Ass 2, Kick-Ass 3.
That's a film.
Well, I'm gonna say this is none of the humor did it for me, and it did feel like it's DC being like, yeah, we can make something funny. Let's make something funny. That said, I still like the premise. I like the idea of a child. I don't think they'll take it. This is one I actually want to see them take to a dark place. Like a kid, like in his like teens, like 16 or 17, hasn't fully developed empathy yet. Suddenly has Superman powers. Like, I want to see him kill somebody.
Yeah, just like punch right through his heart.
Yeah. Like, and then
Something like that may come up in the film. Like, he may Shazam because somebody teases him.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
I also just can't get. I didn't know that Shazam existed until this,
I didn't know what Shazam was
until I heard it on like Deadline. You know,
Sure.
There's a film about Shazam, and I was just like, that's a horrible name for a superhero. But
he was called Captain Marvel, and then there was a big legal dispute between DC and Marvel.
Oh wow! Yeah. And that's actually a better name, a much better name for a kid becoming a superhero.
It's true.
I don't know. A few of the jokes landed for me. Like I have goodwill toward this movie. Like I remember seeing the production photos early on of Zachary Levi as the superhero version, and he looks ridiculous. So I was like, oh no.
But he's like supposed to.
But he's supposed to. It like fits with what the tone of the movie seems to be from the trailer. So it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like that checks out.
I just got really bummed out because I looked up who the director was.
Can you talk in front of the mic, big
Sorry.
guy, big leaguer?
I just got super bummed out
over here
because I just looked up the director.
Who's the director?
Who would you want to direct Shazam?
I don't know. I don't fucking care.
I would want Spielberg to direct Shazam.
Right, or someone like
that's probably a good call.
with a background in like
Matthew Vaughn.
Family adventure. Matthew Vaughn would probably do a good job.
It's the director of Lights Out.
Oh no.
Annabelle Creation.
Oh no.
Yeah, and those are the two movies he's done.
This movie's not going to be funny at all.
Maybe,
no.
Here's the
no.
thing. He's not a good horror director. Maybe that means he'll be a great comedy director.
But he's untested.
Lights Out made me laugh. I don't know. Not for the things he intended.
Think the reasons. Yeah.
No, yeah. Lights Out is.
Oh no. You need a comedian doing this.
Or somebody who can do like fun adventure films.
And like whimsy. You
need
whimsy.
Need some whimsy here.
There's nothing whimsical about Lights Out. It's like
or
I made
a killer doll.
What if the lights are out?
Yeah, I made this good short. Turns out my idea does not sustain a 90-minute film.
Yeah, Reddit loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, if this makes you feel any better, it's written by the guy who wrote Earth to Echo.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does.
It's that movie about
fact.
that. Well,
it's like E.T. but a robot.
Yeah, it's E.T. but a robot. Yeah.
Oh.
It. I didn't see it. I know my nephew enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
So that's a kid.
Isn't
That's
E.T. with the robot Iron Giant.
Yes. Well.
Yes.
Sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So at least the writer has written a kid-centered adventure film before.
I'm not ready to discount this movie, but I am very bummed out about learning who directs it.
Yeah. I mean, blind squirrels and everything. So maybe.
Yeah.
Blind fucking squirrels? I'm just gonna let that one.
Oh, you don't know that?
No.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were right. There's like a blind squirrel.
Oh,
character.
no. So I've begun offhandedly referring to Weiss and Benioff as blind squirrels.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like a broken clock is right twice a day.
Exactly.
What else do we have to say about that? Because I think I know what the next one is, and it might be my
Okay.
I'm curious to know what you guys think about Godzilla King of the Monsters.
I think it looks great.
I am so excited. Yeah.
Whoever put what is that, Claire de Lune?
Yeah.
Is a fucking genius. Whoever put that
so
on
the guy,
on the trailer.
I was actually going to talk about that too. I'm
really?
so glad. We're the best.
Yeah.
So the composer for this film is Bear McCreary, who did.
I've heard that.
His breakout was Battlestar, and he's since like dominated the market.
He did a movie.
He's done a bunch of stuff.
Oh shit! I know the name. He's done a score that I really like.
He's really good, and he's real subtle too. Kind of like the guy who does the Game of Thrones one, who did like Westworld.
Oh, I'm gonna fuck his name up if I try it. Ramin, I think is his first name.
Yeah, Ramin or something.
Ramin, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this just reveals that we don't know. People should know composers more. We know like our John Williams and our Danny Elfman, but we don't.
I'm pretty excited about the next two of these because this one's directed by the director of Krampus, which is a great movie.
Are we done talking about Godzilla already?
No. The next two Godzilla things.
Oh.
I thought didn't McKay direct
Godzilla King of the Monsters? It's directed by the Krampus guy.
Okay, I like
maybe
Krampus.
He's just a producer.
Yeah, it's Krampus, and Krampus was very good. A lot of good practical effects.
And Adam Scott and that one, right?
Let me look it up.
The semi-comedy horror about
Krampus.
Yeah.
I just wanted
the
to
director
check.
after who's doing Godzilla versus Kong is fucking Adam Wingard.
I'm stoked.
Yeah, the director of what is it, Year Next and The Guest.
I fucking love The Guest.
VHS. The only weird one is he did the Blair Witch sequel.
Yeah.
Which was not great.
But whatever. It was well directed. It was like a very well directed found footage. So, like, I really didn't like the first Godzilla, but this looks really good.
If you guys haven't seen the trailer, or if you
beautiful.
have and you can't remember it like shot for shot, so everybody, go and rewatch this trailer, because my big rant about this one is that it is a perfect trailer. Because, this is going to be a callback, I said it at the top of the podcast, it reminds me of every trailer should be one thing. In my opinion, which is that one guy in Battleship that I talked about, who is the gunner, who's just like, what the fuck is that shit? What the fuck is that shit? Are we gonna die? It's just a constant, like, it shouldn't reveal too much.
Right.
It shouldn't tell you, like, here's the face of the Slenderman. It should be like, no, just look at all these cool things that might happen. Well, they definitely will happen because we put a lot of effort into it. But you have no clue how any of this is connected.
And the trailer is about the scope of it.
Yeah.
Which is great. Like, the shot of Rodan flying over the city, and it's just, his wake is just leveling buildings like a nuclear blast.
Yeah, and it's just like, you're just like, how is this a story? And if you watch it, like, every time they reveal something, it's just every new shot, like, or I should say, like, sequence, because, like, there's many shots of Godzilla, like, yelling into the heavens with his blue light kind of stuff. But I mean, like, the section where he does that, and then we meet another monster who might be a moth, you know, like.
I think it's Rodan, who's the big, like, bat.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, the bat thing. And then we get another reveal, you know, so you, like, oh, hey, you know, like, so there's 11 is there.
Yeah.
And then there's
11's all over this
Dance
shit.
is just
Charles
playing a
fucking
Lannister.
Dance.
Oh, God.
He's
Long live the king.
Yeah, I was hoping he was like, Godzilla sends his regards and stabs somebody. But it's just like, it's so crazy to me how it like ups the ante constantly until it's just like Claire de Lune stops. And then it's just like, motherfucking Godzilla, y'all. And then that's it. That's what a trailer should be. It's a fantastic trailer. It doesn't reveal nearly as much as most trailers do these days,
but
which
enough.
is a problem.
But enough. I think we all know the plot,
amazing.
right? Like,
yeah.
I'm going to fight some fucking monsters.
Yeah, and I'm very excited because I think the way they're shooting the monsters and stuff looks really good. And I think the first movie shot the monster stuff pretty good.
The 2014?
Yeah, for some reason thought we Gareth Edwards. Yeah. He thought we cared a lot about that boring guy from Kick-Ass and like that movie. I mean,
he's good in Nocturnal Animals.
Yeah,
he is good.
Yeah, he is.
Also, amazing movie.
I guess.
Yeah.
Jesus,
Nocturnal
fucking movie.
Fucking
Don't
hardcore.
hold Gyllenhaal.
I was just like, fuck me. Dude, Jake Gyllenhaal's been
ending.
fucking me up for like a decade.
He's so fucking good.
He really
Have you
is.
seen Enemy?
Yes.
Oh my god.
That
final
fucking
shot.
another ending where it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I love
So
everything
scared.
that director makes.
Yeah.
Guy kills it.
I'm so stoked to watch what the fuck he does with Dune.
I know it's so
It'd be
perfect.
great.
It's like he made Blade Runner, and some producers like, okay, let's give him Dune. I don't care if he wants to do it or
I
not.
don't give a shit.
No, it's that.
Give
that
him
man
Dune
Dune.
and
No,
$200 million.
Dune is too broken. Dune is too like at this point, no one comes and says like you need to make Dune. Someone is just arrogant enough every decade or so to just go, guess what, motherfuckers? They're like, we're excited about your next project. What is it? Dune, motherfucker, sandworm.
Drops it on the table. Dune.
And they're like, oh shit, this guy's for real.
Start playing the air.
because Dune is just so troubled.
That's true.
So many people they've tried.
It's an
it and, like,
impossible
Is it
story,
a
I
TV
think.
show? No, it's a miniseries. No, it's a movie. No, is it a podcast? I don't know what it is anymore. And there's just like pain is the great time killer. Oh no. It's I'm really excited about
The
what
mind killer. Fear is the mind
Fear
killer.
is the mind
Fear is
killer.
the mind
Okay.
killer, yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been in the clutches of the Muad'Dib. So
I
yeah,
watch that movie alarmingly regularly.
the Lynch one.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry, Alan Smithy.
The Alan Smithy film. Yeah. David Lynch is in it.
Yeah,
As a
it's
fucking
true.
spice miner.
Quinoa.
I gotta get the spice.
Gotta get the spice. Can you hear me over here?
Yeah.
Hey, Barconin. Hey, Barconin. Yeah, fucking Sting. But yeah, back to getting
Back to
on the
Godzilla,
bus.
king of the fucking monsters.
I guess
So that's my rant.
my hope for this is I hope it's silly. And it doesn't have to be intentionally silly. That my issue with the first Godzilla was that it was so somber and not and that's fine if the movie takes itself seriously because it's like that's fun for Godzilla, but it needs to be silly in a way that I don't mind like laughing at it or something. Like cuz
Or I mean, if you're
the
just
plot is dumb. The plot is
Right.
going to be, oh, we have these giant titans. The only way to fix it is let them fight
with this lizard.
with this lizard. That's hilarious. If they're going to treat it like this very somber thing, that's fine. But there needs to be something funny about it or fun about it.
Or you do
that's
it
it.
like the original,
Yes.
which is a huge bummer of a film.
yes.
Like OG.
Yeah,
not like,
the old.
I don't
that's-
want them to
that's
do
a-
that.
that's
Yeah.
It's a real
fucking
bummer, yeah.
about the nuclear bomb.
I just hope
I
that-
think that they're gonna. I think they're gonna do that because they very clearly are doing a climate change thing.
Yeah.
So they're talking about the new greatest problem that globally we have to face is climate shift and all that.
and Mothra.
And
Yeah.
Mothra.
Yeah, I
as
just
a
hope that it's
solvency.
fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely a beautiful movie.
It looks great. Yeah.
I didn't get a sense of
Yeah.
scale from the trailer, but maybe I
didn't?
need to watch it again. I think I need to watch it again
Looks
because watching
enormous.
it was one of those things where, like, watching the trailer, you're like, "What the fuck is all of this?" Like, I only watched it once, and I need to watch it again for that
Yeah.
exact reason.
It's
because it was just gorgeous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it
then it
looks
ended, and I
all
was like, "What the
all
fuck
the
did I
colors
just see?"
and shots. Everything
Yeah.
looks great.
and everyone seems like pretty killer cast.
Great cast.
It's a good cast.
Like everyone's like, oh shit. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
every time I was just they were like
You got Charles
like,
Dance. You got 11, obviously. Ken Watanabe.
Yeah,
Kyle Chandler, he's fine. Vera Farmiga
yeah,
from Bates Motel. Yeah, there's a lot of people in it. It's a
Yeah.
good cast.
yeah. And just a bunch of people who I'm like, I recognize that person and
Right.
they're good.
Yeah.
I don't know their name yet because they've only been supporting roles. And
It's a
they still
hell of
are.
a fucking combination
Like the
of talent.
I definitely felt the same thing that Abe felt watching the trailer, where it's like this movie looks fucking enormous. Just like
Yeah.
the scale of everything. Like when they're with the fighter jets and Rodan just like throwing it with his back foot.
It's pretty fucking exciting.
Yeah.
That shot with is that Rodan as well, where like the shot where out of the mist, it's just like a close. It's like a
that-
wide shot, but like a close up of
that
his face
Could be
or its face.
where it kind of lights up with green.
Yeah,
That could be Mothra. I'm not sure. I don't
But
know what all the.
That is like, I I almost like stopped it, took a screen caption, and put it as my screensaver. It was like,
it's a good shot.
You know, it's just such a fucking cool image.
It's not, man.
The only other monster I know is King Ghidorah, the 3-headed guy.
Right.
I
didn't know the name. I just knew him.
See, I just call him Tiamat.
Yeah.
Tiamat.
Tiamat. I call him Tiamat because I was a little boy when I played Final Fantasy. I know why I'm David Lynch now.
I played Final Fantasy.
Tiamat has more heads than that.
Oh, he does.
She does, but yeah,
she does.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Yeah. It's a D.
Settle down, Warhammer.
It's a D&D character.
No, I'm glad you corrected me, actually, because I need to know these things, because I'm supposed to be a nerd.
Well, we have to call Marine in here, because I can't remember exactly how many heads Tiamat has, but it's a lot. It's like a lot.
But yeah, I just like the scope of it, how many monsters there are, but also like how they shoot skylines. What I love about this movie is, in the same way that we used to talk about when we talked about Spielberg, we love how Spielberg puts his camera a lot lower than most directors.
Where you would be.
Because he's doing it from the point of view of his child.
All right, so it is doing that in the trailer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're putting things at you were looking at things as if you were one of these monsters. That's what the scope, I think. And when we look up at monsters, we're really low. Yeah. But when we're like want to see the world, it's not like how Marvel, like how we shoot Iron Man city landscapes. Yeah. It's like from a high fucking vantage point, just see like your horizon line is like at the top of frame, as opposed to like in the middle of frame. That matters.
Yeah, that's what's been surprising me lately, because I remember the Roland Emmerich Godzilla trailer and being like, "This is fucking awesome," and I was young enough to it.
Really tried to push the scale in that trailer. Yeah, I remember it.
And they really, in the way he shoots that movie, he shoots it to show that thing's fucking huge.
Yeah,
and that's Roland Emmerich. That's not a great director.
I mean,
what's been shocking to me lately with like Cloverfield Paradox and Jurassic Worlds and the first Godzilla is like how often directors seem to fuck up giant monsters, and it's like, how is that hard? Like to like just shoot them from the POV of the people, like watching.
I agree and disagree depending on the moment.
Yeah,
sure, but like
I know what you're saying though.
There's so many like the first Godzilla. He was like, "All right, we're just not going to show him a lot," and it's like, okay, well, you fucked up that Godzilla, and then like Cloverfield.
Are you talking about the 2014 one?
Yeah,
I disagree. With
I kind of disagree.
I found that movie so fucking lame.
Oh, the movie sucks, but I think in my memory, I would need to watch it and confirm, but I do think he kept.
Oh no! Sorry, he shot Godzilla.
I think he shot Godzilla correctly.
I think
it's just we don't. It's dark and boring and yeah.
Exactly. That's. I mean, the movie itself was like, "What the fuck did you do? Just give us Godzilla."
And you took Bryan Cranston from me.
Yeah, and at the same time, Jurassic World happened, where it was just like, God, it's fucking. Like, how did you fuck this up so much?
Yeah.
And then like the Cloverfield stuff is so fucking disappointing, and it's like weird that it seems so easy to just. Like, it's just giant monsters.
Well, I think a lot of those directors don't, and Abe, you can correct me, they're coming at it from, like, not who is the subject of the scene, like, whose perspective is this scene supposed to be in, and they're just like, it would be cool if the shot looked like this.
Yeah,
it's like,
and it's like...
It makes it really inconsistent, and it's like, sometimes we'll be at, like, the dinosaur's viewpoint when the scene's not about the dinosaur. It's just, like...
incongruent.
Right.
I actually wanted to talk about this because I think it's one of the things that is very clear in this trailer that I agree with what you're saying, Dave, but I think that the 1914, the Gareth Edwards one, he killed it by like the way he shot Godzilla. For example, there's this visual term that's called for cinematographers and directors, it's called open space. There's no better shot, and it's not a lot of shots in the history of like the totality of cinema. Open space, a perfect example of it would be the first shot of the Star Destroyer in A New Hope, where it's just like, God, this thing goes on forever. This is so enormous. How that shows how tiny the rebels are and how enormous the arm of the Empire is like a portraiture of what the thesis of where our starting point is. Yeah. So that's a great way of how a director shows through visual, mechanisms. the story. Likewise, in 2014 with Gareth Edwards, the first way we get revealed Godzilla, it's like just endless scales. It's just like his body is moving through frame, and it just is in motion. You're not seeing his face, you're just seeing his body, and it just keeps going and going and going, like the Star Destroyer.
Oh,
and
he shoots it great.
So that's another way to show enormity, is what I'm arguing. And I think that they're using more tactics than normal. That's why I'm not Iron Man, where it's just like, and there's Tony Stark flying. And there's Tony Stark flying.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying that Gareth Edwards famously made a movie, Monsters, that was like about not the monsters.
Right.
And then they're like, you know that guy who made the movie with barely any monsters in it?
You don't see any
Let's
monsters?
make him make Godzilla. And then he did the same thing. And it was like, yes, when Godzilla shows up, he's shot beautifully. But that's not what most of the movie is.
Godzilla
there's literally a scene where Godzilla shows up, and and he was just like, okay, we've seen enough, let's cut away. And they cut away to like them watching it on the news later. And it was like, that's what we're here for, right? Is to watch Godzilla?
Godzilla has less screen time than Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Like, he's barely in that movie.
Yeah, and it's just like, that's what are you trying to pull? Like, it's I don't know. It like that was a major bummer with that movie. But when Godzilla did show up, yeah, he was shot wonderfully. Like, I would also argue though that the like it's just as silly as a movie as the Emmerich one.
Oh yeah, it's just
it just takes itself.
I think
more seriously.
Another nod goes to like, I think Pacific Rim shows the robot battles pretty well.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro. I remember him talking about how like. And like you were saying, this doesn't necessarily have to be the case, but he said the way he filmed every sequence, he said, I wanted it to be in a place that the camera could physically exist. Like we were putting down the camera
and
actually filming the giant robots.
What's the name of the Asian woman in Pacific Rim in the first one?
Rinko Kikuchi, I think.
Yeah, her character... when she was a little girl and he's going through
that's a good sequence.
That's a good sequence.
I hate that movie, but that's a good sequence.
And then juxtapose that versus when, you know, like a fucking just taking a ship and hitting kaiju in the head with it. They're shot completely differently. One's from the point of view of a little girl looking at the enormous like lack of control that she has versus this, like they're shooting it like you shoot a normal kung fu battle,
right?
You know, in like the climax of it, and I think that that's kind of how Godzilla was shot, and it seems to be the promise of this new film. Because they showed different versions. That's why I said like the freeze frame where it's just, you know, 11 looking at this enormous face and just dwarfed by it is one statement, and another statement is Godzilla going to town on all these other monsters. And
that makes sense for this because Godzilla is going to be like the not protagonist, but he will be the subject of a sequence where we're watching it sort of from Godzilla's perspective. I imagine.
Yeah. And how tiny all these insignificant things are.
Let's segue.
All right, to Glass, which did this trailer surprise you guys?
It's the most surprising aspect to me is that it's being made.
Okay. What surprised me was that, well, yes, that, but what's the one before it? Split ended with like James, what's his name, McAvoy running off and like, I'm a monster, and then Bruce Willis and like, you know, like the way Glass or Unbreakable ended with Samuel Jackson like goes to prison.
Yeah.
And it felt like, and I, when I heard this movie was coming, I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. Like they're all going to sort of intersect, and it's going to be the story of like how to track down James McAvoy, or like, you know, Bruce Willis going to get involved. And then it opens and they're just all in a mental institution. They're like, so you think you're superheroes now? And it's like, whoa, like that was the complete opposite of how I thought
of
this
where the threads were put down.
Yeah,
like we're picking them up in an insane place.
Yeah, it was just like all this stuff, and then it was like, and apparently they've been arrested and are now like.
Well, Sam Jackson, we left him in prison.
Right. He was already
right. This is another one of these films that I would bring up my previous point, where I just feel like everything's about the high concept and how cool it is that these people exist. Like, isn't that cool? He's got like 20 personalities, and one of them's like a superhero. And what if this guy is unbreakable? What if this guy's just glass? You know, like, and I don't know why the movie's called Glass. I'm sure that will be revealed at some point.
I feel like it's going to focus more on...
I think he's going to pit them against each other somehow.
He might,
like,
yeah.
He'll marionette shit, and they'll realize, and then team up. And I get, like, that's the other thing about this whole story is that, like, so when you have like Batman versus Superman, it's like this tete-a-tete of fighting. Like, there is no way that if you want to just like kill Glass, you just beat the shit out of a cripple man. And it's just like a sad ending.
Yeah.
Like, if he's truly a villain, you just like, you gotta stop.
Well, he is the villain.
Yeah, he is.
He's the mastermind type of villain, though.
Just
so that's
get
where
me in a room with him.
Yeah.
Well, when in the trailer, when they're like going through each power and they get to him, like, and there's this man who's glass, like this man who's
like, how is
like how
right,
is
like
he
no
have a superpower?
No part of it's a delusion, but he does. I guess his delusion, quote unquote, in the movie anyway, to justify the sequence where Sarah Paulson is talking about it. It would be that he believes that superheroes and supervillains exist, and he tries to cultivate them.
It's
but
just
like,
that he's a terrible supervillain.
Right.
Like,
she just lists two true things about him. It's like, you have this actual condition where your bones are very brittle, and also you're incredibly smart. Like, no part of that is like,
and he's just like
a delusion.
Again,
supervillain.
High concept versus charisma.
Sorry, going back to the trailer of them in the institution, it just occurred to me, I don't know why I didn't realize this. Trailers don't have to start where the movie starts. That might be like right in the third act. They all get
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that I think so my favorite part of this trailer is not in this trailer. It's imagining that his monologue that takes up the second half of the trailer, there's someone else in the room like asking him questions, you know, like probably the psychiatrist, because he's like, my name, first name Mr.
last name Glass.
Last name Glass, and I just want him to be interrupted. Fucking all right, Mr. Glass. You know, like, he's just, why does he think he's so, like, I know he's smart, but like, it's once again this addiction to coolness that we just emphatically, from the get-go, this trailer is all about like, we're proving how cool this world is. Stop trying to prove how cool you are. Just be cool. I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I think there's a marriage of high concept and charisma in this film, because I think the reason Split was a success was because of James McAvoy.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like,
also
that movie falls apart if you don't have the right person in that part.
Definitely the most interesting one.
I was one of the only people who didn't know. Apparently, like when I saw it in the theater with a bunch of people, everybody knew the ending already.
Oh, that it was tied in Unbreakable?
Yeah, I apparently just completely missed that. So when that happened at the end, that was like one of the most delightful movie-going experiences I've had in a while.
Oh, like
because
genuine surprise.
Yeah, because I'm a huge fan of Unbreakable, but it was just really neat to see a movie end with, oh, by the way, we're a sequel to this other movie. And it was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, that is cool.
But I mean, Shyamalan, he makes silly movies.
He does,
and I enjoy.
I think Shyamalan.
Now that
we're having a Shyamalan renaissance, because I enjoyed The Visit. I think.
Oh boy!
I did. I enjoyed The Visit as like a Twilight Zone, or like a a Alfred Hitchcock Presents, like a horror thriller theater mini thing. So he's making these small movies that are very singular in an idea, which I think he's good at.
Yeah, he is.
He's good visually.
And
he thinks of cool little episodes. Like you think a great TNG episode, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he's just seen a little bit of humility, because I think when he was doing that big rise to the top there, and like no one was saying no to him, and then we got like The Happening.
Yeah,
and it was Village. And The Happening is fucking hilarious.
So around 2006, he was like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah,
I've not seen Lady in the Water or The Happening.
They're all. The Happening's pretty fucking hilarious.
I punched out.
It's pretty bad.
I punched out like at the Village, like Goose and Top Gun, and I hit my head on the canopy on the way out. But there are parts of The Village that I thought were effectively creepy.
Yeah,
it's just on the whole,
Village, actually, but
I really didn't like it.
He got. I think he got scared because he knew that
He needed a twist.
He needed twists that were like mind-boggling, or else they would be like, "That's not a Shyamalan movie."
And I guess that's what I mean is that he was like feeling this high of himself with The Village and that, and so like I think now with like The Visit and these movies, he's just sort of, I don't know. I feel like he's calmed down a little. Yeah,
I mean,
and
did you all notice?
He's trying not to just blow all our minds. He's trying to just make a.
Yeah, there's not really a twist in Split.
Yeah, I mean, well, the ending. Yeah, and The Visit has a twist, but it was like, he didn't try to go like out over the top.
Right, they weren't werewolves. It was just like
his twist was.
It was a good twist.
I like the twist because it's a non-twist.
Yeah,
where it's like, what's wrong? Are they possessed? And he's like, no, they're just fucking crazy. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
But what if they're all the sun? God damn it, M. Night, you're really losing your shit.
I thought it was like a good. It was like a standard campfire story twist,
right?
Where the person you've been around the whole time is not the person; it's like somebody impersonating.
Yeah.
I guys noticed that. I think this is just like smart marketing, or at least they're trying. Like the thing we're talking, smarketing. The thing we're talking about right now. I think they're very aware of it, about like the fact that he like kind of had a failure. For the last decade. Because did you guys notice that it didn't say like a film by M. Night Shyamalan? It said from the writer-director of Unbreakable.
Right. They did that like
his name pops up.
After Earth, I think was the first time. After Earth, I remember they were like they never advertised.
He also did
Shyamalan.
I think it's the only movie he's directed that he didn't write.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I
mean, he's the Last Airbender. He adapted, I guess, but.
I forgot he did that.
That was like,
as someone who knew nothing about the cartoons, I enjoyed that stupid movie. I enjoy a lot of his stupid movies because they're
shot in an
they're competent
way.
And then they're shot in weird, and he like makes a lot of bold decisions. Like
he knows how to shoot a movie.
The Happening is a hilariously bold movie where it's just like, okay, we're gonna cast Mark Wahlberg as a math teacher, and then he's a science teacher. John Leguizamo as a math teacher. We're gonna have it be about plants making people kill ourselves. Let's do it. And it's just, and then he just fucking does that movie.
I could see
it was that
idea being done in a way that was interesting and creepy, because it is a sci-fi idea.
It's a Twilight Zone,
right. Or like a Twilight Zone episode. So like, what if people all just started killing themselves for no reason? It's like, well, it's because the plants are releasing this thing because they want to take the world back over.
And then, but then they keep going because they're just like, okay, how do people kill themselves? So like any way possible. So it's like, so if a guy had like a lawnmower, it's like, yes, he would lay down in front of that lawnmower and let it run over him, and that's what the movie shows. And it's like, it's so amazingly over the top.
It could be one of the greatest. Like if they dipped into it, it could have been one of the greatest comedies of all time.
I think he knew it was funny, because there's a scene where Mark Wahlberg at one point, when they realize it's plants, he's in a house. And there's like a potted plant, and he starts talking to it like, "Look, I'm sorry for everything we did.
I'm sorry about the planet, plant."
And he starts trying, and then he notices,
"Stop trying to kill me and my friends and family, plant."
Right, and then he notices it's a plastic plant, and so like it's like,
no, it was plastic.
There's moments like that where they knew like this was a silly movie, but it was. Man, I don't know. I need to...
If I directed The Happening, here's my opening sequence. It would be like a hippie commune where everyone's just like having great times, you know, like it's the Aquarius.
Sure.
And they're all just cutting up vegetables. Yeah, fucking the Aquarius. They're cutting up vegetables and like grass and like playing,
right,
you know, like guitar, which is made of wood. And then it just cuts to like a tree, and it just zooms. It's just closely. And then you see on one of the branches, because it's starting to like, either it's dew or it's raining, the tree is literally crying.
Yeah. There's an Aqua Teen episode that's that.
Oh, really?
The trees get vengeance on. They like skin Carl and use his skin as paper.
Oh yeah. They keep using.
Because they keep screwing up, so they have to tear more pieces. Oh my god.
Not only are we gonna use your skin, we're gonna recycle it.
Yeah. I think we got a good segue.
So yeah, Glass. Next, finally, is the Slender Man trailer. This is the opposite of subtle.
You said earlier about I forget what it was. Oh, Lights Out, where it's like Reddit really liked it. That's why this film exists.
Yeah, exactly. It's also, isn't the actual tale that like 2 teenage girls went crazy with envy or something like that and killed another teenage girl?
It came after that though, because and I believe there is like a documentary or something about that.
That's what I was going to say. There's an HBO documentary that seems like it's a way creepier fucking premise because it's just real life. It was these girls who were obsessed with the idea of the Slender Man, and they stabbed another girl. I think everybody lived. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I think so. Yeah.
But that's that's an even creepier concept, and of course I'm sure they hammed it up where they're like, was it the Slender Man? It's
but
like, no,
this is more about like he's got weird hands.
Slender Man's real. He's got tree fingers.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that really early internet meme, salad fingers.
I was just thinking that too as soon as
salad
you said
fingers.
Jeez, so wow, what a different time.
That was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I don't have high expectations. It's like the same thing with like Truth or Dare. You know, like there's just movies. Yeah, I'll just keep pumping them out, guys.
I had hope for Truth or Dare because it was Blumhouse and like they were coming on a roll of like some movies that shouldn't have been good but were, like Happy Death Day. And,
This reminds me of the Bye Bye Man.
oh yeah.
Where like the Bye Bye Man was clearly someone saw the Babadook and they're like, oh, you want silly names? I'll give you silly names.
Bye Bye Man.
But like it's more that like when you saw the trailer for the Bye Bye Man, it was just all these things you've seen already. It was like this lady closes a mirror, the Bye Bye Man's in the mirror, and it's like that's so old that like it's a cliche now. Yeah. Or it's like this person's eyes roll in the back of their head. Isn't that creepy? And it's like, no, I've seen it a million times.
I've seen it so many times.
It's the same with this, where it's just like, look at all this CGI like horror stuff we put in here that looks like everything else, and it's just like
that's one of the reasons that I actually versus like this Slender Man is even worse than something like I'd say like Lights Out, which made it money off of one visual trope, but at least it's trying a new visual trope, kind of like Why the Ring is good, or you know, like The Conjuring actually is a very smart.
Yeah, James is that James Wan, The Conjuring? Yeah, he always could do. He always tried to do something different. With
there's like
movies.
Because it's not the glass, you know, like it's Candyman.
Yeah,
it's just you know, there's that one shot where they're just having dinner, and then just apropos of nothing, it cuts to a reverse shot, and there's just this weird red face.
Yeah, the crazy.
And then it cuts away. It's just like finding new ways to horrify me with like, because there's like suspense and there's like. But surprise, we're in an addiction. We like with our horror movies right now. We have the surprise addiction where it's just like and jump scare.
Yeah,
and the fact that they're still finding ways to even revolutionize jump scares, even though it still is at the end of the day a jump scare. I'm still like, well, at least that's slightly better.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like James Wan, he's still mostly does jump scares, but at least he's creative about it.
Yeah, and I don't think
he puts it in dread. Like he puts you in a situation where you are certain you're going to see something crazy, but you're just like dreading it happen because he's created this.
He's good at
situation that
I wish he had better stories. I think.
Yeah, I mean they're all the same.
Because it's still like there was a stand-up comedian, and I wish I could remember who it was, who had a good comparison of jump scares. He was like, jump scares are like if I went into the audience and started tickling people. Like, it's like, yeah, you laugh because it's a physical reaction that I'm forcing. It's not, it's easy. It's being startled. That said, yeah, I'd say like there's certain directors who can still do that jump scare, are still talented, who can do it in a talented way.
You know what I want to do is I don't want to see this movie in theater, Slenderman.
Oh, hell no.
But we should find a way to find it, and I want to sit down, and there's a game I used to play with some of my filmmaker friends, which is on horror movies like this where they're just so rote and just like basically the thing that you've seen before. You'd hear the silence and there would be no sound score, and then everyone would have their hand raised and they would drop their hands right when they thought the bass was going to drop kind of thing. Yeah. And the person who got closest didn't have to like drink that round or whatever. Or whatever. You tally points. But it's just like this fun game about how and this is not because we're filmmakers. Everyone collectively
we all know this language now.
The film grammar because we've been watching movies our entire lives, that it's just like, why would I go pay $16 in LA to see movies because they're overpriced in LA?
Yeah.
Why would I go pay that much money to watch a thing that I've already seen? And also, all that's different is the guy's tall and he's got weird fingers.
He's got weird fingers. Oh, Greg.
And he's got no face. That's my other favorite thing about this is that they like don't quote unquote show the monster. Like they think that that's like keeping it real in 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the monster doesn't have a face.
Doesn't have a face. And
Also, it's Slender Man.
it's Slender Man.
Yeah,
we
it's
know
like-
what Slender Man looks
We
like.
know what it's already
Yeah.
about, and like you did it in the first shot, so you're
It's-
actually not.
It's like
doing-
not showing Freddy Krueger. It's like, oh, we know what he looks
yeah.
like. Like,
You're just like, oh, we just show his hand.
His creepy hand.
No, man.
nah, dude.
Nah, dude. That's not what's monstrous about Freddy Krueger.
You guys ever see? Sorry, this is still on jump scares. The Exorcist 3, I believe.
I don't believe I have.
It has my favorite jump scare in a movie because it doesn't rely on a cut, which a lot of jump scares do. It's a nurse, I believe,
Yep.
walking through the hallway. You remember it?
With the giant.
Yeah, it's a long shot of this hallway, and it's just static. And this nurse you're watching like go through this hallway, and she hears like a noise and like opens this door to look, and it lasts for like a minute, and then she leaves the room, and there's something behind her, the with the giant
scissors.
scissors
Yep.
comes out of the same room she just checked. But what they do is there's the music cue, but they snap zoom in on it,
Oh yeah.
and it was just
So
it's
there's
so
violence
jarring.
in
Yeah,
the
there's
filmmaking.
still it's a really I haven't seen a jump scare done that way in a movie since.
I love the slow. My favorite thing in horror right now is that we're in a renaissance of the slow creep, and by that I'll look no further than It Follows.
Yeah.
where it's just like
The slow burn. Yeah.
the slow burn where you're just like, where's
Yeah.
there's a person right there. They're walking too slow. That's it. It's
Yeah.
following. Just turn around. That's the horrifying thing. Which is just I mean, one could argue that's just another form of jump scare. Not in that it's like a jump scare, but in that it's a equally well-torn trope. But like, I think right now we're doing some of the cooler things in the horrors that I've seen in the last decade or so with that specific trope.
Horror has been great lately.
Yeah.
Not this, but
Not this.
Slender Man.
mainstream horror is not.
Indie horror, yeah, has been great.
I'm-
I thought I was getting it followed yesterday. Actually, it was just
yeah?
an old guy. Yeah, it was just.
And
an
he's
old
just
guy.
like
Did you
slumbering.
turn around and punch him in his chest?
no.
Stop it follows.
He turned.
Stop it following.
Stop it, follow. It's
Stop
first name it, last name follows.
Stop it. All right, let's segue.
Ryan
else you
Reynolds
Oh, Ryan Reynolds
is
is making
producing
Stone
producing
Alone remake?
Stoned Alone. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds.
It's not really a Home Alone remake. It's just the same plot line. With
Is it just a high guy in a house?
Yeah, he gets super high and misses his ski trip, and then burglars break in and hijinks ensue.
Is it called Stoned Alone?
Right now, it is.
And he's producing it.
He is.
Okay, I predict this is like the Van Wilder sequels. Like, I don't think this will be like a thing.
No,
I don't think this.
I don't think it will be a thing.
I don't think like there'll be.
it's an idea. Like he's just now being attached to it, but it's already was in production at like Fox or something.
But it also could be that like Deadpool awakens something in him where he realized like, oh, I was using my superpower wrong for so many years. And I was the Van Wilder guy where I was just snarky for no purpose. Now he's like he's still that guy, but I feel like Deadpool is now it's meta-ness. I think he might just be Deadpool forever,
Right.
which might make
his production
fun.
company is called Maximum Effort.
Yeah.
Which is a Deadpool.
Yep.
He knows.
I hope did anybody see The Voices?
No, but I keep.
That's
being
one
told
where
to watch
that
it.
was one where I was like, man, I hope he keeps making movies like this, because The Voice is about a guy who kills people who's like it has a really fucked up message about mental health. But like it's a very well done like dark comedy about, and Ryan Reynolds is the main character, and he's like has this factory job, and everything looks really like bright and nice and beautiful and like kind of almost fantasy in his life, but you don't really pick up on it right away. And then like he works his job and enjoys himself and goes home, and his dog and cat are telling him to kill people. And it's just his dog and cat are talking to him. And the realization is he's not taking a medication And this isn't a spoiler, there's a great moment where he actually finally takes his medication and the world suddenly becomes like less nice.
And
like
at least he's not being talked to.
Yeah. But it's like it's a very weird comedy, dark comedy about
actually kind of sounds interesting.
People. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what to expect from this. Obviously, we haven't even seen footage. It's just been released, so we can't really talk shit on it. But that premise just reeks of just phoning it in, because it's just like, what do kids like? I mean, and by kids I mean like 30-somethings.
Yeah, they like pot and Home Alone.
I mean,
all right, cool.
Stoner movie. We need a new Harold and Kumar, right?
Mm-hmm.
This could be it. This could be our Harold and Kumar.
It could be. Seriously. I
It
enjoyed Harold
could
and
be.
Kumar.
Like, this is... Most stoner movies have dumb premises, right? Like,
yeah, all of Broken Lizard's shit is just like, watch these guys do stupid shit.
Yeah, so this is a dumb enough premise that it could be the classic stoner movie. I don't know.
Could be.
Could be the next How High. You guys remember How High?
I do.
Remember.
Great movie. Great fucking movie. I believe they smoke John Quincy Adams in that movie. They dig up his body and smoke him.
It? I think you're right.
Great fucking
Was it
movie.
James Madison? I don't know.
It's someone like that.
One of the founding fathers.
One of the founding fathers.
Yeah.
They
Perfect.
Just the stickiest of the occasion.
What do we got next?
The Frasier reboot is something that's
being discussed.
Yeah, I saw that.
What does that mean?
Why?
I think it's just because Full House, Roseanne, they just found out
Will
they
and
could do
Grace.
that. They can get away with it, so they're doing it.
Here's what I think we should do, and I want to call it like we should do nostalgic bloodletting every few years, where we just make a major motion picture or a TV show that just lasts one season, like an anthology, where we take all of the things that we've been rebooting to death. So, like, I want to see Frasier reboot where he's also the Hulk. Or something like that, like just like let's just keep throwing in shit. And he's Robin Hood.
Hear me out.
Well, that great Brandon Bird piece of art where it's like, what if Frasier was in the Fantastic Four, and it's just him leaping out like, evil, I'm listening. Like, just do that.
I mean, we sort of did that, and everybody was angry at it. It was called Ready Player One.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which I watched it again. I enjoy that stupid movie because it's nostalgic bloodletting. Yeah. It's just like, here's Beetlejuice, here's The Shining, here's Back to the Future.
Because I don't want to. Because if it does well, and you know it will to some extent, it won't break the bank, but it's gonna make its money back, and that means they're gonna make a second one and a third one, because things only come in trilogies now.
We need a Who Framed Roger Rabbit TV show, but for like 90s
I just
sitcoms.
pitched that.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm using another.
No, actually, but I literally, that's a pitch that me and Mike.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah. But yeah, it's just this crazy, like, because again, the low-hanging fruit of just like reboot culture, but it's just like, I think it's a good idea for us just to see why all these things are kind of bad ideas.
Yeah.
Why like Stoned Alone and, you know, Frasier reboots are like, could be amazing, but they probably won't.
Yeah. I mean, do you think people, when Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out, was like, what pandering, nostalgic crap this is? Because it's just like, hey, these are all the cartoon characters you love.
But it has...
it's a great fucking movie.
It's a great movie.
I'm saying on paper, like...
I think we hadn't seen anything like that before.
That's true.
We didn't it wasn't a reboot culture back then. So we didn't have constant access to...
It was also unexpected to see all these, specifically two companies being like, hey, let's stick all our characters in this.
Yeah, I think the internet has a lot to do with it. We live in a world now where we have constant access to everything that was ever made.
We're like a 4D, 5D culture, you know, where we have time is on the table, everything is represented equally.
Yeah.
So everything feels like it's recent and also not recent enough.
Yeah.
You know, depending on what side of the bed you wake up on. I think it's interesting. Here's the metric, and I know hindsight is 20/20, but here's the metric that people seem to ignore a lot, which is that how good the movie you make or the TV show you make is not based around if the idea and its conception gets buzz. I mean, that's how you make something. But like Roger Rabbit was amazing, right?
Yes.
And the reason it was amazing, not because it was a nostalgic effort grab, but it's because Cool World was then made after.
Yeah.
Because they were like, let's be immediately nostalgic about that. Or the reason that Zack Snyder has a career is because Christopher Nolan made some great Batman movies. You know, it's just this idea of, like, in this case, in like the DC universe, everything should be gray and gritty. Well, that was just a good idea for Batman and Gotham. But why are we putting that on Superman?
Right. I would also
don't put that shit on Superman.
How dare you? I've said this several times. I would also argue the Nolan Batmans weren't gray. Like, they weren't colorless. They were just
the first
desaturated
one,
though.
They're the first one's brown. The second one's
a little
blue.
brown. I think really the second one felt like it had a lot of colors in it. I don't know. It's more that he just
it has that weird bluish.
Yeah. I guess I still think he's one of the few people who's done gritty right because he didn't make it. He made it gritty in the sense that he was trying to make it take place in an actual city.
Right.
Like, in an actual, like, reality.
And that hadn't happened before.
Yeah. Whereas Zack Snyder is like, it's gritty, but there's also a giant spider robot. And it's like,
yeah.
Then why is it gritty? Like, why does it need to be grounded?
Right.
Like, into like the...
Superman drowning in a pile of skulls.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, what's up with that?
A lot is up with that.
What's up with that? But yeah, it's, I think that's, like, I don't know, just getting back to this metric, I know it's a hard thing to say, but, like, I feel like we've seen enough of this now that I understand why, like, executives and culturally we keep watching these reboot movies. Because it might be good. And every now and then it is good. Yeah. You know, like they rebooted Jumanji and it was great. You know, like so. But the metric really comes when it's like it's not trying to do service. It's I think it's actually a Joss Whedon quote. He says the death of the blockbuster came with Temple of Doom. Which is the one which is the prequel in Indiana Jones?
Temple of Doom.
Okay, yeah. So Temple of Doom, because there's that one moment where he grabs the gun. Like, so in Raiders of the Lost Ark, we have that wonderful moment where it's just like, Indy is just so tired of fighting all these guys that this guy has these crazy swords and just takes out his gun and shoots them. We all remember this scene. So Temple of Doom, which is supposed to be a prequel, they do that as like a nod back to like a quotation.
It's 3 guys with swords.
Yeah, and they nod it back to a movie.
Forgot about that.
So now it stops being about a guy who's just so tired that he just didn't want to deal with it on that day to this guy uses as a tactic just shooting dudes when he doesn't want to fight them.
It's just a regular
so
thing.
It alters the original joke a little bit, and I think that's what the reboots aren't bad on their own. You know, reboots have been happening forever. I mean, like Maltese Falcon, it's not fever, but they've been doing it. But it's not reboot for reboot's sake, which seems to be what we're doing now, where it's just like, I know that Jumanji had a quotation about like at one point they're like Alan was here and stuff like that, but it's not like they're trying in that world to make it feel like, well, we got to have a bit with a monkey.
Yeah.
You know,
it's starting backwards. It's we're going to reboot this. Now let's justify it. Now let's figure out a reason why. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, depending on who they get to be in it and to write it and so on.
Yeah.
Because I think a writer, it's a hell of a great challenge. It's almost like a writing exercise if they're like, make a Jumanji. And it's just like, okay.
Make a Jumanji
sit down and
that is a reboot but is also technically a sequel.
Yeah. Which is still the rumor of why Gus Van's Saint made Psycho. The rumor I heard was that he made it not because he thought it was a good idea, but because he was just doing it so no one else did, because it was like the studio was like going around being like, we're gonna do Psycho, and he was just like, give me it.
I'll take
it. I'll just do a shot for shot remake. Like it was just shot for shot remake. It was like a statement essentially. It was just like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, exactly right. And and it kind of still gets like Zack Snyder is the paint by numbers director, right? So like The Watchmen, pretty good movie. Why? Because pretty good comic book. You know, like,
Yeah.
so it's like it's not because of anything that movie did. I mean, there are some fine performances. I'm not taking work away from like the production designers and the actors and even the director. It's just like, what are you doing? Why are we remaking a thing like completely? That just makes no sense to me.
There was a lot of dick in that movie, right?
There's a lot of blue dick.
Well, it's
blue
just
dick.
one very specific dick.
But it's multiple dicks of the same guy. Like he multiplies himself.
He doesn't wear clothes.
What I'm
No, but I mean, doesn't he become multiple people?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have multiple dicks.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's a lot of blue dick is what I'm
I
saying.
wish
for
they
that
had a
movie.
deleted scene where it's, you know, when he gets enormous and takes out like Vietnam.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like if they just had the shot where it's just like the Viet Cong looks over and like, look at that enormous dick.
It's just swinging back.
Oh my
and forth
god!
like a
That's an
pendulum.
enormous dick.
Helicopters careening off of it.
Yeah, it's prehensile.
Yeah.
Because he can do anything with his
Sure.
body, right?
Yeah. He can do anything.
Just starts picking up helicopters and throwing them with his dick.
Yeah.
Dr. Manhattan.
Like an elephant's trunk.
Yeah.
What do we got next?
Speaking of reboots, the Charlie's Angels reboot.
Sure.
Yeah, this is one where it's like, yeah, why not? Like,
Yeah.
what do you have to lose? This is. I guess this is kind of like Jumanji, where it's like when they were like, we're making a new Jumanji, no one was like outrageous. You know, it was just like, sure, I haven't thought about that in years. Like, yeah, it was those 90s ones that were.
Yeah, those McG ones.
Didn't
and I
age
think,
well, I don't think.
Elizabeth Banks is actually
Directing this.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And is playing Bosley.
Got Kirsten Stewart in it.
Sure does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's got to be some kind of inverse relationship between like classic movies that are getting remade and my optimism for them, and like how they didn't really like change the zeitgeist. You know, like Jumanji is a great film, the original, but it didn't like, it was just a small movie. Like small relatively in terms of like its scope. It didn't try to have
It's
sequels.
based on a book, right? Yeah.
It just kind of had this, here's a cool little perfect thing. That's it. Bye. It's not trying to be a part of a universe or trying to, you know, well, let's talk about like what makes Jumanji tick. Kind of, it's just like, here's a magic thing. You know, like even Gremlins, I wish there was, even though I don't wish that there wasn't a Gremlins 2.
Gremlins 2 is one of the... We've been tossing around the term bold this episode. That is one of the boldest sequels ever made.
Just naming it. Just they're all doing cocaine. Just name another gremlin.
It's a parody.
Yeah,
It
really is.
They made a parody of the first movie.
Right, but like Gremlins 1 is like this perfect little magical little thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm more excited about things that haven't had sequels that are just this like kind of small and humble like that.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I like Charlie's Angels, even though that did have trilogy. Like, was it trilogy? I think
There were two.
There's two. But it was non-assuming. The original idea was like I didn't care about it. I could see it being really good if they really put their heart and soul into it.
I kind of want to see a gritty version. I know that's probably
That's
a
the
bad
opposite,
idea.
Yeah, with what it is.
I want to see like Charlie's Angels Born movies.
Oh God. Oh God, it's gonna just be Aeon Flux, isn't it?
I just don't know what they're not gonna do what they did in the 90s, but like I guess you know what would be cool is like a maybe split the difference and do like John Wick style, like crazy fucking action.
That would be fucking
but then like
cool.
still kind of lighthearted and fun, but like
one of the angels dies and the other two have like a revenge.
right. I mean, they as long as it's
they
an
all have
action
dogs
movie,
and all
right?
their dogs
Like
die.
this is it needs to be action. Like the original series, everything points to action. So as long as they go into it saying we're going to make an action film,
I don't really need to see gritty spy films anymore, though.
yeah. Well, that's the thing is, Bourne has terrible action. So like that's why I'm saying more maybe John Wick. Like show like don't go. I hope they don't go the direction of like Kingsman. Where they like I think that visual version of action, I think that's boring and done.
Yeah, it's all pomp and like look at how cool that was.
And it's all CGI.
This quick move idea.
Yeah, like
I'd much rather like an Atomic Blonde or like The Raid.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're gonna make action, hire like really good stunt people or train the actors to do really good stunts and
But like,
fucking go for it.
the angels should be like hurting the entire time. Like they should be John McClaning their way through.
That would be cool.
You know, like they're like
that.
they're just like gotten the shit beat out of them, and they're just like, I gotta kill all these guys.
Yeah.
You know, like that I'd watch.
Just
That's
the
only
bloodthirsty Charlie's Angels.
Yeah, they're just
That
like,
was-
gotta get out of this building.
I think that was the problem with the 90s ones is they were like they had a great cast and like fucking Crispin Glover in there with his hair fetish.
Oh yeah.
And like it was just that the action was like very 90s cartoony action.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I remember it was very like they'd just kick henchmen and they'd fall over. Like and that was that.
And
I
then
want
they'd
to see them
say-
breaking some necks. I want them
Yeah.
to teach people about death in these movies.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want them to teach little girls about death.
Yeah.
No.
I want them
think-
all to have PTSD.
Yeah. No. It's fine. It'll probably be fine. Whatever.
I mean it's got a great fucking
I don't
group of
think
people.
Yeah.
there's no
hooked
way
to
it's
it.
gonna even be similar where it's about like their butts. You know, like
Well, that was
Yeah,
very
the
much
90s
the
one
90s.
was because Mick G,
The Mick
fucking
G,
Mick
yeah.
G directing it.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be something a little bit more 2018.
Maybe they go the direction of like the new Tomb Raider.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think
That
that
would
would
be
be
great.
great.
Segue. What do we got next?
We have movies that deserve.
Oh,
more
I
hype.
am so fucking excited.
So
for this.
I was looking. I found some legitimate. Not. I shouldn't use the word legitimate, but like some like indie movies that look cool. But that can be next week. We need to talk about.
We need to talk about this.
the movie Twisted Pair, directed by Neil Breen.
Oh,
If you
Neil
guys
Breen.
Neil
If you
Breen's
guys
new movie.
don't know who Neil Breen is,
Neil Breen blows Tommy Wiseau
Yeah.
out of the water.
the room can get the fuck out.
Yeah,
because Neil Breen is where it's at.
Neil Breen is
inexplicable.
The first
inexplicable.
The first thing I want to point out is that this trailer is 4 minutes long.
Yes, I think most of his trailers are like that. It's funny is Neil Breen movies clock in about I believe 3.5 hours long every time I watch
They
them.
feel like it,
and
yeah.
then I end the movie and I
it's
look
like
at it
hour
and
20.
it's like
An hour.
an hour 20.
You guys go. It's Twisted Pair is the name of the movie. Go watch this trailer because seriously, within the first 10 seconds, you will be hit with probably the main thing you need to know about Neil Breen.
Which is, I mean, there's a few things. One is his effects are top notch.
It's like a fantastical Fern Gully looking thing
Yeah.
with like this this sad piano music playing, and then he and his twin appear
Already good.
in an obvious green screen. They're wearing the same clothes, and they start walking toward
Like twins do.
right. And they're supposed to be in this place where they cannot physically be, and they both walk towards the camera, but one is like slightly behind the other.
Yeah, and they're not walking. They're not like getting closer in the right like.
They're
pace
right. The
that
perspective
they're
is
walking.
not correct
Yeah.
because the background's not moving because it's green screen.
The synopsis of this film
Oh my god!
that's on the webpage. That's twisted-pair.
So this is like written by him, not by.
This is
Yes.
written, produced, and
critic.
directed by Neil Breen.
Have you seen Neil Breen's work?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember what they're called.
There's like
Probably
pass-through,
Double Down
There's
and-
Double Down. They're all written, and the best part about Neil Breen is the fact that when you watch the credits, all these companies are credited for like lighting and craft services and sound, and there's always these company names, and then when you get to the final ending credits, it says, "By the way, all these companies are just Neil Breen." Like he says it in a little more elegantly than that,
Right.
but it's like when we say these companies, like
We
it's
mean
like
Neil Breen.
we need, yeah. So he just does everything.
Breen catering.
Yeah. It's his stuff where it's like movie magic catering. Like he
Yeah.
names the companies. It's so good. Identical twin brothers become hybrid AI, artificial intelligence, entities, yet are torn in different directions to achieve justice for humanity.
Please, please, please watch this trailer.
And watch Neil
Dear
Breen's
listener.
work. It's hard. I think one of his
It's-
movies is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Fateful Findings.
Yeah. All of his movies, he literally changes the world in the movies.
I think that's the one I saw, Fateful Findings.
Again, that could be several of them.
You must watch this trailer because you will be laughing so hard you can't breathe within the first 30 seconds.
Right.
I guarantee it.
Doomhouse.
Well, his character has where he flies. There's several scenes in this trailer where he flies from the bottom of the screen to the top, or vice versa, and it is the most hilarious, After Effects flying.
It's some of his best special effects yet.
It is.
What's my favorite part about Neil Breen films is that because he has control over everything, no one is breathing down his neck.
Yeah.
So he just grabs a guy and then moves him over to the other side of the screen and then animates it and then watches it, and then you know that he's sitting there in front of Final Cut Pro at home, probably in his pajamas, and he looks at that and he goes, yes, this is perfect.
He's
perfect take.
He's prequel Lucas, but in a different way, where it's that no one's saying no to Neil Breen ever
because there's no one else in the room.
Exactly. And when there is, when there's other actors or a cameraman or something, it's probably some kid he's paying just enough to not give a shit. It's not that they're saying it's not that they're not saying no because he's famous. It's because just no one cares enough to point out anything.
Just let him have his
hobby. I'm getting $100 to say 3 lines.
He's also, everything about him is ambiguous. Again, it's the Tommy Wiseau thing where it's I'm not quite sure how old he is. I mean, he's definitely an older man.
He's clearly in advanced years.
Yeah, and then it's the politics, because his movies are very political, but I can't tell what his politics are.
They're political in a way that it is impossible to discern what his political beliefs are.
It's always stuff like a rant of him playing an alien that's come to kill everybody, and he's we must wipe out the bankers, the corrupt congressmen. PC culture, and it's wait, what?
Yeah.
PC culture is in there with the banks? What are you?
There are public executions in every Neil Breen movie I've seen. And it's him publicly executing someone he believes is destroying the world.
My favorite the gift that Neil Breen gave to me is that when you go to film school, you sometimes meet these people who are very good at their job, and there was a wardrobe person who had a show, and her show was the most obscure thing ever. It was the costumes of Neil Breen.
Oh my god!
Where she just recreated on mannequins different characters of Neil Breen's work, and it was amazing. Yeah, she did this. She just wanted to do it because she loved Neil Breen so much. And we went and we just drank wine and just talked about Neil Breen, and there was a screening, and it was fucking great.
He needs to be more famous.
He should be what Tommy Wiseau is.
Yes, because he feels more genuine than Tommy Wiseau, which is weird to say. Well, Tommy Wiseau, I saw him at Kamikaze. He signed a basketball, and it was he had 4 assistants and was acting like a rock star, and it was oh, this is it's gone too far. Yeah,
you're famous for being awful.
Yeah,
but even when he was making The Room, I think Tommy Wiseau, not that he knew that he was a fool, but that he knew that it wasn't he wasn't trying to say anything other than it's a very introspective movie, The Room.
Yeah.
It's more about him and his struggle, and he wants to be a filmmaker so bad, but he doesn't really know what that means. Neil Breen, I think, has a very consistent worldview about, he knows he's a filmmaker.
Yes.
In a way, Neil Breen is sadder because Tommy Wiseau is figuring it out constantly and runs audibles.
I would say that
Neil Breen is this is perfect.
He is definitely way more fascinating than Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah, I think Neil Breen has a lot of worldviews that he the film is secondary to the message.
Right.
That and getting to touch women.
Because he always hires
so much groping in these movies.
Busty actresses that are clearly about half his age.
I'm pretty sure they're models because he lives in Las Vegas, and I think he does real estate.
I was reading when we watched. I think it's Double Down. One of the actresses in his movie is a Coyote Ugly waitress.
Yeah.
So it's just people around.
I think it's Neil Breen has just enough money to make these movies and be an adult,
right?
And,
because
like,
he's a real estate agent.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a perfect job for him, and he just trolls the strip and just finds women and they're just like, you'd be a great actress,
right?
And like before they know it, they're like a dinky camera and they're in a pool and he's naked and they're like, oh shit.
I've noticed this. It shows up in this trailer too. It's clear that he's insisting that they be naked for the scene.
Yes,
but like the actress is like, okay, I'll be naked, but I'm going to be laying face down on the bed.
Oh yeah, a lot
That's
of
in
I'm
every Neil Breen movie.
Yeah,
because I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm not going to actually be nude in your film.
Yeah.
Yes. What's funny is, of course, he'll be nude.
Yeah.
He's fine. If you watch enough Neil Breen movies, you will see Neil Breen's balls.
Mm-hmm. Sure, you sure do.
Yeah.
You
sure guarantee.
do.
Neil Breen looks like a lizard wearing a Gene Simmons wig.
There's gotta be a better way to There's gotta be a better way to spend $50,000.
I don't know.
I disagree.
Yeah. as long as no one's getting hurt, because like there's definitely creepiness with the actresses.
He super creeps on them. Yeah,
but it does seem like
There hasn't been a lawsuit, I assume.
And
so.
every scene does seem like it's the result of the actress going no, and him accepting it.
Okay.
Yeah. It does seem like it's that where they're just like, don't touch me.
Yeah. He goes exactly as far as they will allow him to.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's creepy.
Yeah,
it's
he's
super
so
creepy. He is a terrifying man.
He is a fascinating
and again,
person.
Ambiguous politics, but he's like wants to enforce them in the most fascist way imaginable.
Right. There's
every
always,
movie ends with either
a
mass slaughter or suicides by Congress people.
And the president of the bank.
Yes, the president of the bank.
The president.
It's like a child's view of the government.
Yes,
like
it's so good.
Just go to Washington D.C. and take all of America's money.
Yeah,
my favorite was in Fateful Findings, where the premise is he has magical abilities, and he meets back up with his childhood friend, who was taken away from him when they were playing. They buried something in the woods.
The bracelet, I believe.
The bracelet, and they get separated. They're the same age as children. They get separated, and they meet back together as adults. And in true Neil Breen fashion, she is an actress that is about half his age at least. So it's like,
oh yeah, every female character wants to fuck him, right? Like that's
sort of.
I think in that one, there's like the teenage daughter of the neighbor.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
And she like hits on him, and he's like, "No, you're too young." And it's like, "Good job, Neil Breen."
Man, he is like the oozing pure sex.
Yeah.
So women can't resist him.
It's like the guy in Halloween 3. It's the guy who's like who's just a monster and he sleeps with every woman in that movie, or every woman's like, "Hey, looking good," and it's like,
looking good guy who just looks like a normal dude.
Yeah.
He totally seems like the type of guy who like in real life thinks like he has a catchphrase.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's my catchphrase.
You just got breened.
Yeah. Just got breened.
Oh, breened.
Something's got it.
Oh,
just
yeah.
what a just an awful
has to be
piece
breened
of shit.
to be believed.
But like
I wonder what his Myers-Briggs test says.
Oh man.
I want to know so bad.
I want to know.
I want to know everything about Neil Breen.
Yeah.
So yeah, go watch the trailer for Twisted Pair.
Yeah, like we're not even talking about that movie, and I think it should be obvious.
You all
why.
should just.
I want to tell. I got to tell the last Neil Breen story.
Okay, just really discover who Neil Breen is.
It's just that for Robert Evans' birthday, I got him. I was trying to get him a copy, like physical copies of the Neil Breen movies, and I was like, I wonder if I could get them signed. So I went to like he has separate web pages for all his movies. They all have separate web pages. He's not like neilbreen.com. And I went to it and I like emailed just like the info thing, and it was like info@Fateful Findings. I was like, could I get a free like a signed copy? Is there any way? Can I pay extra? And I just got an email back that was just like, yeah, just purchase it. And I was like, okay. And it was like they didn't give me anything specific.
No,
and
so
so
I
just
just
like
Neil Breen you were talking
oh
about.
yeah, that was 100% Neil Breen.
Yeah.
But it was also him just saying, yeah, just buy it. just buy it. And so on the webpage, I bought the DVD, and it was like deals. It was like that realization of like, oh, no one's buying this, so it's just the next person to buy the DVD. And he'll sign it. Like that's what he did. And sure enough, I got it back signed.
You sure did. The other possibility is that he signs every copy he sells.
Yes, that's the
which is not
also makes sense.
It also makes sense.
I mean, a guy's clearly making websites for every single one of his movies. He's into horizontal integration, I guess is what we call it. Yeah, he's a real piece of work.
He's an incredible person.
So yeah, that's Neil Breen. Go investigate that lizard person.
The Tesla of terrible movies.
Oh, by the way, I just wanted to say that because we were talking about his balls before, that is not what Twisted Pair is about, right?
No, but it could be. If we see his balls in the film,
that would be
we'll know.
The Twisted Pair.
You got Breen.
It'll probably have nothing to do with the title, like all of his movies.
It frequently doesn't have anything to do with what's actually in the film. So yeah, that's a show. Abe, do you have anything you want to plug? Plug your pluggables?
I don't know. Most people watch you guys probably have heard or seen me in something, just because of the obligatory plug of Small Beans Network, which is like the sister network of you guys, Gamefully Unemployed. And it's me and Michael Swaim run it, and we're adding a new podcast. When is this coming out?
Friday.
Oh, great. So on Monday, make sure to stop by our Patreon and catch the new show by Maggie Mayfish called My Top 8, which is a new podcast that she's running. It runs on our network, and it's about friends, being friends, and how hard it is, and what do you got to do to get more, and how you keep them.
Just palling around.
Yeah. So I guess that's all I need to plug.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's a blast.
And thanks you guys for listening.
Goodbye.
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 Our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can follow him on Twitter at @thecorlew, Corlew, and find more music at shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our artwork is produced by Justin Brown. You can follow him on Twitter at @JustinTBrown, and find more of his artwork at artnessbyjustinbrown.com and justinbrown.info. Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.